All right, so you guys are going to love how easy this is, okay? Here are our examples. Find the center, vertices, and graph. Tomorrow you might be asked to do a little bit more than this, but this is going to give you a pretty decent understanding of this, I hope. So here we go. Find the center, vertices, and graph. We're actually going to start with the graph. We're going to do the last thing first because you can find a lot of information from the graph itself, okay? So let's do this first. I'm going to move this up. I have standard form of an ellipse right here for our reference. First thing we want to do to graph this is we want to actually write this in standard form, meaning put these bottom numbers in terms of some number squared. Okay, so here we go. X squared over 25 is the same thing as 5 squared. So we're going to write it like that. And then y squared over 9 is the same thing as 3 squared equals 1. Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to circle what we just rewrote that as because that's going to tell us how we graph, okay? So here we go. Let's draw our graph. Because of the fact that we have nothing being added to or subtracted from the x and the y, that means that our center again is at 0, 0. So that's going to be common throughout the circle, the ellipse, and the hyperbola, and even the parabola is kind of a little bit. All right, so our center is at 0, 0. Just like the circle, we graph the center first. Okay? Now, because we have a 5 directly underneath the x, that means we go 5 units to the right, because the right, and then 5 units to the left, because right and left are the directions that the x-axis runs in. Okay, so from the center, 5 is under the x, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put a dot. And then back to the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put a dot. Okay, then under the y we have a 3, which means from the center we're going 3 up and 3 down, up and down because the y-axis is in the up and down or vertical direction. Okay, and then now all we do is we connect those with the best oval or ellipse that we possibly can. The vertices. Vertices are all of these points that we just graphed. Okay, so this is a vertex. Vertices again is plural for vertex. So this is a vertex, this is a vertex, that's a vertex, and then so is this. Now I actually want you to write out what the vertices are though. Okay, so since we're being asked, let's move our directions here. So we're asked to find the center, the vertices, and the graph. Okay, so we just graphed it. Now, we have our vertices listed here, but I actually want you to write out the coordinates, okay? And then, so here we go. Center, again, nothing being added to or subtracted from x and y, so the center is 0, 0. Vertices, the vertices are, this point is 5, 0, and this one is negative 5, 0. If you wanted to condense that into one coordinate, you could have put plus or minus 5, 0. And then we've got 0, 3, and we have 0, negative 3. And then our graph is right there. So that takes care of all of it for this one. Okay? Pretty easy, right? All right, let's move on to the next one. So I'm actually just going to fold the paper here so that I can kind of save some space. All right. So the next one that we have, same set of directions, but whoops. That's the same example. All right, let's flip it over. Okay, same set of directions, but now we have something that is no longer in standard form. We have to get it in standard form, just like we did with some of the circles yesterday. So we noticed that standard form, if you look at all of these, they all have the number 1 on the right-hand side. So that is our goal. We want to get the number 1 over here. So I'm thinking, okay, I know how to get the number 1 on the right-hand side, and the way that I can easily do it is to divide everything by 9. So that's where we're going to start. So divide everything by 9. Okay? So we have x squared. The 9s cancel out. I'm still going to go ahead and put this over 1, which some math teachers might kill me for doing that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay? Because I want you guys to get used to what it looks like and how many units you go in each direction. If you don't want to put it over 1, you don't have to. Okay? And then plus y squared over 9 equals 1. Now we have it in standard form. So, here we go. To put it so that we can graph, first we're going to write the bottom numbers in terms of something squared. So let's do that. 1 is the same thing as 1 squared, and 9 is the same thing as 3 squared. I'm going to circle the x and the 1 and the y and the 3. And now let's draw our graph. All right, so everybody draw a graph on your paper. X, Y, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so same thing as in the last one. Because there's nothing being added to or subtracted from the x or the y, the center is at 0, 0. So we can write that down right now. That's one of the pieces we need. Okay, there is a 1 right underneath the x. So from there, from the center, we go 1 unit to the right and put a dot, and 1 unit to the left and put a dot. Then, because there is a 3 underneath the y, we're going 3 units up, putting a dot, 3 units down, putting a dot, and then we draw an oval through all of them as best we can. So, remember we said in the last problem that all of those 4 points that we just graphed, those are all coordinates of the vertices. So let's go ahead and list those here. So I'm going to do this so you can see it in a little bit of a different format on this one. So you notice we went, this one is 1, 0, and that's negative 1, 0. So you could actually list them 1, 0, negative 1, 0, or you could just put plus or minus 1, comma 0. And then the same thing with the y's. So you got, the point here is 0, 3, and this one is 0, negative 3. So you do 0 plus or minus 3. Okay, and then this is our graph, so we did everything we were being asked to do. All right, make sure you're writing down questions in the margin. This time I didn't ask if you guys had questions. You're not here with me right now. Okay, so next, let's move on. We have this example and one more, and then we are done. So, this one we are almost in, well, actually we're in standard form, but to graph it, this is where we want to put each of these bottom numbers in terms of something squared, okay? So we do x minus 3 squared over 5 squared, y minus 2 squared over 4 squared equals 1. And then, again, I'm going to circle the x and the 5 and the y and the 4 because that's going to tell me how many units I need to go in each direction. Okay, so let's see. Let me draw my graph here. Okay, so x, y. Now, same thing as what we did yesterday with the circle. So the center of this ellipse is positive 3, positive 2. So the signs of each of them switch. Okay, so positive 3, positive 2. So that's where we're going to start. Right 3 up 2, that's the center. Okay, and if it helps you to put on here, C right next to the center to help you kind of keep track of all the points as you go, do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we have a 5 underneath the x. So from our center, we're going 5 in each direction. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. And again, x is in that direction. That's why we're going left and right. And then we have 4 underneath the y. So from the center, we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3, 4, and put some dots there. Connect with the best oval that you can. Notice how I say the best oval you can, the best ellipse that you can, because I know we're not all perfect in drawing these. No big deal. Okay, so now you actually want to, this is where you do want to make sure that you have, or where graph paper is can come in very handy, because now you notice that the vertices are all different. You have to go through and actually see what those coordinates are. So let's start with this one. We go left 2 and up 2. So that's negative 2, 2. This one, we had to go right 3 and down 2. So that's positive 3, negative 2. This one, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up 2. So that's 8, 2. And then this last one, we go right 3 and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3, 6. Those are our vertices. And there's our graph, and then we are done with that one. Okay, please make sure you're writing questions down. We will have time tomorrow to go through any questions that you have. Okay, last problem, and then we have some extra credits, and I have the assignment already written down here as requested, so that you guys, if you want to get a head start, you're welcome to do that. Okay, so here we go. This is another one of those completing the square problems. So you guys can see, once again, we have kind of a big mess here. Okay, we have some x squared, some y squareds, x's, y's, and then numbers with nothing on them. So we, again, want to get it in this kind of a format. Okay, so here we go. the thing that we did yesterday was we grouped together the x's, the y's, and then moved anything else that did not have x or y attached to the other side. So let's do that first. So we're going to subtract the 36 from both sides. And at the same time, group together these x's. So 25x squared plus 150x, leave some space. 9y squared minus 36y, leave some space, and then equals negative 36. Okay, so in this problem, here's what's happening. We have got something that's a little different, and we have a coefficient in front of both the x squared term and the y squared term. So, in order to complete the square without having a whole lot of difficulty, we want to have something that does not have anything other than 1 in front of x squared. So what we need to do first is we need to factor out, in the x's, we need to factor out a 25. Okay? Because 25 divided by 25 leaves us with just an x squared. 150 divided by 25 is just 6, so plus 6x. And then we want to do the same thing here. Okay? So we want to factor out that 9, and we're left with y squared minus 4y, and parentheses, equals negative 36. Okay, so we are not going to do anything with that on the right-hand side yet. All right, so here's where we're going with this. Ignore the 25 initially. To complete this square, we have to add something here. We take half of 6 and 6 squared. I'm sorry, half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. So we add 9, and we add 9 here. But you notice that this 9 is being multiplied by 25 on the outside. So we have to add, or multiply that 25 by the 9 on the opposite side too, otherwise it's not balanced. Okay, same thing here. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4, so we add a 4. We add a 4. I'm going to actually keep these underlined so you guys don't get lost. But this 4 is being multiplied by a 9 on the outside, so we have to multiply that 4 by a 9 on the other side to keep it all balanced. Okay? This x squared plus 6x plus 9, that factors to x plus 3 squared. This one factors to y squared, y minus 2 squared. And then on the right-hand side, if we multiply and add all of this together, we end up with 225. Okay, so we look really close to one of these up here. The problem is we don't have a 1 on the right-hand side. So to get a 1 on the right-hand side, we're going to do what we did in the last problem and divide by 225, 225, 225. And now we want to reduce everything that we possibly can. Okay, so all of those can be reduced. So 25 and 225 are both divisible by 25, and it's a 1 on the top and a 9 on the bottom. And then 9 and 225, those reduce to 1 on the top, 25 on the bottom, and then a 1 on the right-hand side. Okay, so from here, you can get the center. The center is at negative 3, 2. And if you graph it, there's the bell. You all are getting out of class right now. I'm not actually going to go through and graph this, but you would follow the same steps to graph that you did in the last problem. I just realized you could not all see that. Okay, so to graph, you would follow the same steps as we did in the last problem, and go from there. Okay, let me go ahead and give you guys what your extra credit problems are for tonight. And there are the extra credit problems. So pause the screen and write them down if you would like to take advantage of them. And I'm going to shift this up a little bit so that you can see that your in-class work tomorrow is right here. Okay, so we're kind of playing this by ear. We're gauging as we go. Please make sure you wrote down all of your questions. This one was a little bit longer, a little bit more in depth. Sorry about that, you guys. I know that you all have maybe a little bit shorter attention spans than needed for this. So I hope you guys got whatever you could get out of this, and I will see you tomorrow.